Hello, today's episode number 131 of the Professor Slots podcast tours all that Professor Slots has to offer. I'll be your tour guide. Plus, in this episode, I'll be covering the current state of slot machine casino gambling in the great U.S. state of Kentucky. Thank you for joining me for the Professor Slots podcast show. I'm John Friedel, and this is the podcast about slot machine casino gambling. It is where I provide knowledge, insights, and tools for helping you improve your slot machine gambling performance. In case you missed it, on my last episode, I went over Mississippi's return to player statistics from my weekly live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Further, I reviewed Kansas slot machine casino gambling in 2021. I hope you enjoyed listening to my last episode as much as I enjoyed making it for you. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Here's the audio recording of my latest live stream Q&A session. Hello, slots enthusiasts. How are you? My name is John Friedel. Welcome to Professor Slots, a channel devoted to mastering casino slots so you can win your way to success. Today, I'll be your tour guide, showing new fans and old what I have to offer. And yes, at the end of the tour, we'll be exiting through the gift shop. It's great to see you all here. I'm kidding. It's great to see you all here again for another Professor Slots podcast episode and live stream. If you're with us live, be sure to say hello, ask your slots-related questions, and and whatever they may be, and I'll get to those in a moment. And we have a winner. Thank you, Chuck. Chuck says, good morning, all. He has given a $20 donation. Thank you so much, Chuck. It is very much appreciated. Right. And let's see. Yeah, I think I have a good first. I think I have a great show for you today, and we'll get into that in a moment. But before that, I want to say thanks also to all the new arrivals who showed up before the start of the show, in the pre-show, I guess it is, and the friendly discussion we had in chat. And finally, thanks to all the new slots enthusiasts that are continuing to show up at my weekly live streams and download my podcast episodes. You're very welcome to be here. And today's live stream is for you. So one of the things, I think I'll jump into the live chat and make sure I say hello to everybody. Paula is here. Paula is our moderator today. Be nice to Paula and special thanks to her. Thank you, Paula. Let's see, Jan and Skinny Cricket are here. Lois and Dave are here. They say hello to everybody. Isaac is here from Utah. Lois and Dave are here from Ontario, Canada. And Joyce is here. Steve from Green Bay, Wisconsin. And Dina is here from Boise, Idaho. So make sure you say hello, and I'll try to keep up what's going on. Let's see. Lita is also here from Mississippi. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not really scripted today. There's a bunch of things I want to tell you, so I'm going to kind of go through things. The basic idea is I've grown a lot recently, and the whole point, and a lot of stuff have come out. Ken is here. Hello from Flint, Michigan. Have you been to the University of Michigan Flint campus? Have you been to the Murchie Science Building? Have you been to the first floor of the lab half of the Murchie Science Building? That's the one with all the murals, if it's still open. There's also a pendulum display of a Foucault pendulum, and this is a little personal. And Paul is just north of you. And that was my undergraduate engineering and physics science project to show that pendulum as a display. It has been 25 years. I think it's still running last I checked. About a year ago. So Let's spend some time there in Flint, Michigan. Okay. So just a little personal tidbit for you. I'm currently in Ohio. For those of you who are wondering, I spent 10 years in Iowa and 6 in Connecticut. So great. Shawana is here. Becky is here. And Becky's in sunny California. Well, it's sunny in Ohio too, but our temperature starts with a 3. And the detective boys are here, says they really like my videos. So a lot of, like I said, a lot of new people are coming in to my channel. I worked on it for 4 years with, I thought, fine responses. Nothing to write home about necessarily, but once I got a YouTube channel, and not when I got a YouTube channel, but when I started using it properly. I was just using it for storage for a couple of years. And then maybe a year and a half ago, just over a year, I started using it properly. And then when I got laid off as an aerospace engineer, 7 months ago, a little over 7 months and a week, 2 weeks, 7.5 months. So I got a lot more serious about it, decided that about all the things that I could do, my best shot at not losing everything would be to put a lot more effort into this. And so since then, I went from, I think, crossed 1,000 subscribers in YouTube after a couple of months, as things wrapped up, as I got better at things. And I've been doing these live streams for about a year and a half. Don't watch the early ones, please. Once I did, cross over 1,000 at the beginning of October last year, I got to 10,000 about 2 weeks ago. So some new features have opened up. YouTube opens up some additional tabs and other things, and we'll talk about some of that. So we'll catch up a little bit later on live chat. Let's just start working through the stuff that I have. Now, this is not meant to be a sales live stream. This is meant to be, there's new people who come in, they either find my podcast, or they find my website, or they find my book, or they find, and usually they don't cross channels, right? If you found me on YouTube, which is where a lot of people are finding me lately, you might not know that I have a website, and the website is home base. You might not know I have a podcast. I'm over 100 episodes. We'll talk about that and where to find it. And I have a phone app, which people have been asking about. And when I chose my, just Professor Slots, right? But whatever you Google or search, that's one way to find me. But it turns out that they're really getting popular with these online apps for real money gambling or just for social gaming. And usually they have the word slots in them. So it's been hard to find some of my stuff, particularly on the phone app. So was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, someone asked, how do I find that? So I will show you. I will put up some links and some other things to share as basically that, I'm giving you an overview at the moment. And then we'll talk about some other things that are coming, that have just arrived, and including the online course. In fact, online course is. So we'll get towards that when more people are here in a few more minutes. Right. So let me share with you. This. Where are you at? There you are. Yes. Home base for me is my website, professorslots.com. And this is what it looks like. I'm showing it now if you see me getting a little bit wordy, the people on YouTube watching me see me get a little bit wordy, it's because there are a lot of podcast listeners that will be listening to this later, and they don't have the visuals. So I will be saying things out loud that you might say, well, it's right there. but for the podcast listeners, then this is a podcast episode or part of one. I will share this. And we have another donation. I have another donation. Thank you so much. Naril has given a $10 donation and says, "Good day, Professor." It's a super chat. "Good day, Professor. Congratulations on 10K subscribers. Time for big growth. You deserve it." Thank you so much, Nahal. I appreciate that. It's trying to make it look easy, but it's not particularly easy. I had some help recently on my one of my Facebook groups, and we'll get to that. And somebody kind of stepped in it, and one of the things I want to share with them, if they're watching this later or they're on now, is it's tough. It's tough. Okay. And looking like Ken and Paula are local to each other and are talking about facilities to local businesses. That's great. It's great to see that social element to all this, because that's one of the things I try to provide as well as I've worked on this. So, right. Let's see. I am showing you, for the podcast listeners, I am showing my homepage. Morning, Jim. Thank you for your help recently. I'm showing my homepage. And basically, this is what it looks like on a desktop. If I were to shrink things down, it would collapse these list of articles under Learn to Win at Slot Machines, and that would collapse down into a little couple of bars that would be a menu on a phone app, or rather on if you were to look at this on your smart device. So, but this is what it looks like on a desktop. And if you scroll down, this is how you're going to find, as I said, it's home base. And so this is where you'll find a lot of what I have to offer, or at least connections to it. If you find something that you'd like, over on the right-hand side, excuse me, is that right? Yes. On the right-hand side is a couple of icons: Facebook, Twitter, email, Pinterest, and you can share. If you're on this page or something else, you can click that button and it will share that article in a post on your social media account. You have to actually, load it, and you can decide whether or not you want to actually publish it. And that's what that's for. So feel free. I get notification once per month of how many people do it. And that's nice to see that. So there's an introductory video here. This is my setup, only kind of facing that way. If you look in the background, I did mention I'm an aerospace engineer, and it's not entirely accurate. I am an aerospace engineer, but I'm also a physicist, and I'm also a businessman. So up on that back wall are 8 college degrees, associates, bachelor's, and master's and PhD. Top center is PhD. And so physics and engineering, and then threw in an MBA towards the end there. Right. So if you watch that introductory video, it's a little bit about me. I probably should replace it. It's maybe 3-4 years old. But it was just me off the cuff talking about stuff that I did. Now, the rest of the screen will show a list of my most recent articles. So 9 most recent articles. So you don't have to dig through other places in the website. This is just what's come out lately for articles. And there's also this interview down here at the bottom, which I might show later, or at least click on later, professorslots.com/ABC27. And that's an interview that I did in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the local evening news, and they did an investigative report on their local casino, and they pulled me in. And I say a couple of funny things. What I first want to point out on this website, and I'll move to YouTube channel and other things in a moment. First thing I want to point out is there is these tabs across the top. And if you want to look at my articles, if you were to hover over this and not click it, you would see the different categories: casino reviews, learning articles, other kinds of reviews that might be of books or YouTube channels. Then all my strategies are put in one place, and I have some articles on tribal gaming, which seems to be quite popular. Then if you go over to state by state, there's a summary article, which is where I want to go next. And then this is my online resource. But if you click on every article, it'll be all the articles, and it's pages of articles, and it's always going to be 56 articles. And I'll talk about why that is in a moment. And then we'll come back. I'll come back to podcasts and skip over consultant. I offer consulting service because some slots players have very special questions and circumstances for them, or they want an immediate answer, or they don't want to watch 100 hours of videos or listen to hundreds of it's 4-minute videos, but 1 hour podcast episodes. And then there's an account here. So I'll start with the state by state online resource. Now, I will mention when any of this costs money. This is all free, and I'll mention when it isn't. Right. So this article is state by state online resource for U.S. casino slots enthusiasts, and this is something I update every week. Because it's going to be what I consider an online resource. It's a collection of information, usually much of the same. It's like private ownership of slot machines, gaming commission, etc. So every state that I go through, I'll answer the same questions, but the answers will be different. Does it make sense? I'll show you examples of that in a moment. But one of the things that I start off with is I have to hurry to get all this stuff done. This is a tour. I'm a tour guide today. So if you go to this article, state by state online resource from my webpage, one of the first things you'll see is a list of all the states. Now, this includes the territories because some of them have some fantastic slots options. Some of them don't, just like the states. And so on this list here that I'm showing you would be Facebook groups. So I moderate 57 Facebook groups, including one that's kind of the nation. And then I broke them down by states and territories and federal district. And as I grow, I've got maybe 3,000 people total and all of it. And I think I'm up to 4,000 now. And if you click on that, you can request to join. You follow community rules about being nice and etc. And I let you in if you're not a robot. It's fairly succinct, I think. And I will take you to, let's see, why don't I take you to Michigan, since we got people from Michigan here. There you are. So this is everything's the name of the state, territory, or federal district, followed by slots enthusiasts. So Michigan Slots Enthusiasts, a Facebook community group. These are all private. So people seem to really appreciate that. And then I have an announcement at the top that you only see once about how there's more to me than just the Facebook groups, to let people know there's other stuff going on. And this is where lots of people upload photos. You can't upload photos on YouTube. Also, this is a place for people who play slots in Michigan to sort of, I went last night, I know you like this casino too. And I know you like this casino too, and what did you go last night? Did I see you there? Do we, can we connect? You need a ride share. There's a way for you to connect. I call it boots on the ground. It's a way for you to connect with others who play slots in your local area. Now, I've only got it down to state by state, and one of the things that I'm going to do as the groups grow, the Oklahoma one is the largest, and it hasn't quite hit 1,000 members. I'm just not letting the robots in, so it's only 1,000, and that group is steadily growing. I started them about a year ago, and we might break it down to like region of the state, or like Thackersville, which is where Borders and WinStar are, because there's just so much activity on that. I might shrink it down from, I did national, then I did state by state, and then I may shrink it down, may add more that would be parts of states, but we're not quite there yet. And that's the plan, and that's the resource there for you. Now, that's the Facebook groups. Then there's the articles. So I have every week I write an article about one of these states, territories in the federal district. I've been doing it for 4 years. I am the fourth time through all of them, because once I get to the end, Wyoming, I start again at the beginning, Alabama, and every week I do another one just to see what's changed in the last year, because it's such a dynamic environment these days. Lots can happen, not always. Like Iowa is very saturated. There's a casino within 1 hour's drive of every resident of Iowa, and they talk about market penetration isn't that great. It's some business terms. Because there's so much offered there, but there's other states that are just starting to get casinos, like Virginia. They just got approved, and the voters approved it in November. So there's plenty of things going on. Kentucky's that's my most recent one. It's amazing how fast they're growing. I think the term is flourishing. They don't even have slot machines. They have historic horse racing. They look like slot machines, but they're HHR machines. But if I click on one of these, Alabama slot machine casino gambling in 2020. I will put in my video. It's a short video, basically, so you don't have to read. You can watch it, but I also put a link in my hour-long podcast, and it starts right where that section begins. The first part of this long presentation was the live stream I did back then. Try to keep these things clear. This live stream will only be available for a week unless it's a particular interest. This one that we're doing right now. There's one that I keep around because it's the only place I talk about tribal gaming and everything about tribal gaming. And every week, a couple hundred people like to watch, 700 people watch it. So mostly live streams don't do that. So if this one, I'll check in a week and turn this one off or unlist it, but it'll always be available on the podcast, the audio at least. So I will have relevant legal statutes, like how old you have to be to gamble in this state, then whether or not you can own a slot machine privately, and any restrictions. For instance, sometimes it's illegal, sometimes it's legal, sometimes it's a requirement that it be manufactured, before 1950. All kinds of different requirements. I give links to the Gaming Control Board if they have one. And then I talk about the casinos, the largest, the second largest, what are the commercial casinos, what are the tribal casinos. I'll provide a map, talk about how I have an article. Maybe you want to gamble outside of that. Maybe you're from Alabama, but you want to gamble outside of it. So there's states above, below, right, left. And so I put those links to those articles in case you're near the border. Then the link to the Facebook group, and then payouts and returns, which this would be theoretical payouts, and then actual return statistics, of which Alabama has neither. And then there's a summary and what changes took place in the last year in Alabama, nothing. So you can go through each one of those and see what's happened in the last year. Right. So that's a resource, a free resource for you. I think, it's one of those things that I think I will continue. If if you are in the United States and you gamble in your state, you are going to be, there's a 1 in 56 possibility that you might actually want to look at one of these articles. So it's not terribly popular. Yet on the other hand, I'm listing on the top of Google pages when you look for Alabama slots. And so it seems to be one of those low key, great to have it sort of offerings. And I will continue to do those. Now, let's switch on over to YouTube. We are on YouTube as we speak, or as I speak. Actually, did I really finish up? Not really. There's some things here. Let's do the podcast before we do the YouTube channel. The podcast is here, and you click on this, and this is what I call the show notes. So across that top menu, for those of you on the podcast, listening on the podcast, if you go to professorslots.com, you can find your episode by saying episode and then number. So professorslots.com/episode 130 would be the podcast episode for last time. That's all these are listed here if you were to click on that, which I will not do. Then you have resources. Well, one other thing. Where do you find the podcast? And that gets to be complicated because it is everywhere. I have a good service, Libsyn Liberated Syndications. They've been around for 15, 16 years, which is pretty old for podcasting. And I have everything on Apple Podcasts, everything on Google Podcasts, which is where you can find it for Android. But then I'm also on Spotify, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, SoundCloud, Radio Public, Deezer, and a few others. These are not... See, if you have a podcast app, there's over 100 of them. And you can go, and they all get the podcast from Apple. But then there's these companies that get it separately. And that's these companies. I'm going to get rid of this pretty soon because it's hard to keep up. The agreement that you make with each one of these people is that you won't not mention everybody. Everybody, the people don't like to be missed. So if you click on these, it'll take you to my page at that location. So I'm going to click on Apple Podcasts. And since I'm on a desktop and not a phone, this comes up. But a little window will come up and say, do you want to start the podcast app? So I will do that. So on a desktop, this is on a Mac, Apple computer, this is what it looks like. So this is my episodes, and this top one is 130. And if I were to click the play, it would start playing it. Right. So that's what I wanted to show you there. Yeah. Okay. But you can click on each one of those and given your preferences, or you can find many others. Now, I am going to, for the people who are interested, in the description, even now, in the description of the YouTube video, I have placed a link, and this is for the Professor Slots Apple app. Remember, I said earlier it's hard to find because it has the word slots in it, and there's so many of these games out there that that's all you find. You might look up under John Friedel if you can spell it correctly. Now, I also have it for. So the first link I provided was to the Apple Store, and the second link I provided was for the Google Store, and that's where you can find. And I'll see if I can hold this up. I will unshare for a moment, and I will show you, try to make sure I do this right so there's no reflections. That is the icon, and that is the Apple app that I have. I didn't build it myself. It's something that my great podcast provider has. And so just look for my icon, and my icon such as that icon. Okay, so that's kind of it. I'll come back for a couple of things, but if you go to professorslots.com youtube.com/Professor Slots. And if you haven't subscribed, you'll see this welcome video, which is 52 seconds long. And it says, hello, this is what I provide. And this is what you might be interested in. So this is what what my YouTube channel looks like. And that's how you find it. But if you subscribe, then it looks a little bit differently. Now, one of the things, I got several things to point out to you as new to my content. So you can just, I'm the tour guide today, showing you around. And let's see the list of things I wanted. So there's a welcome video. Then there's all these other videos. And so I set these up so that you can sort of like start here, get grounded on what I offer. And then I have these playlists. There's 4 videos that are part of the Making Money Playing Slots playlist. There's 7 videos. There's one more here off the end, which is my 7 strategies. Not that there's only 7 strategies, but these are the ones that I've numbered. And then there are slots money management, because a lot of people have, some people don't win at a casino. And that's what the strategies are for, to help you do that. Some people win, but they can't get out of the casino with money. So that's what the slots money management's for. Then I have one that just shows my most popular, so what everybody else is resonating with, and then uploads as I do them, because not everything goes into a playlist. And that's how you kind of go through things. On the cover of this, on my YouTube main page. So welcome video, lots of videos. And then I want to go back to the top here and point something out. This tab is new as of this morning. In past live streams, I've talked about this. Make sure I cover this up. Okay. So, right. So right here, if you can see that, some of you are on smart devices and some of you are on television. So it's kind of a range of different abilities to see this. There's a tab called Store. So I'm going to click on that. And guess what? I have stuff. Now, this is not everything I have. There's going to be, YouTube allows 12 items, and this is 9. So I have 3 more that are still under approval. This is something I've done in this last week. And if you were to click on any one of these, like for instance, if I were to go to the site here to buy this pullover, this hoodie, stop that. Stop that. They do like to advertise. On the front, it says Professor Slots. I figure that's a fine place to put it, because when we play slot machines at a casino, where else would you wear this? That faces the machine. But on the back, it says, I'm a slots enthusiast, like that pillow right over there. And so all of these, best I can, logo in the front, I'm a slots enthusiast on the back. And one of the things I want to share with you is YouTube has tools available. So apparently at the very top of the live chat, I can place one of these items. Now I'd put the shirt up, but the shirt is one of those that's still under review. They want to make sure they're processing them quickly. But I put up here this, which is not that. Got to get rid of those. Right. This is a money pouch, and it has many different colors. So feel free to enjoy yourself with any of this that you might like. And there's 3 more items coming, which are basically long sleeved shirts, short sleeved shirts, sweatshirts. And for some reason, those are still processing. Okay. next thing to tour you through. Oh, yes. All right. So this store tab is a new, this store tab is new, but right next to it, as soon as I get it ready, I'm having gone over 10K subscribers, is going to be a membership. And you can join the membership. And I plan on having 3 tiers. It's not done yet. There's many things that you'll get. I'm surveying what other people do and what seems to work for other people, and like special icons, emoji that you can use, or having your emoji be your icon be an emoji. But there's also going to be like higher tier levels, and the lowest is going to be some common things, a couple bucks a month. And then next up will be another level. And I'm trying to put a bunch of perks into each one. So every level that you get would be including the ones below that. And this is going to be, I think, some good stuff. Things you should be interested in, things that work. I'm thinking about having another live stream, memberships only, that sort of thing, monthly. And it wouldn't be a live stream necessarily. I have to work these details out. You would be shown, and I would be shown, and everybody else would be shown. So I'm thinking about making it a Zoom meeting. But then I have restrictions on my Zoom account, how many people I can have. I think I'm limited to 100 unless I bump it up. So yeah, you should find some low-level membership levels that you would have some perks that you might like. And the higher level stuff is going to be more access to me. But I have to sort all that out. And when it's available, there will be a join button next to subscribe tier, red join button, and there will be a membership tab if you join. And that will be for you. And I won't. If you've never heard of this sort of thing, if you're for those of you who found me on YouTube, you probably know about it. But for the people on the podcast, may not know about this. And it's a way to get access to me, but it does cost. And there's 3 levels, and it's a monthly fee. What YouTube offers when you go over 10K, roughly. Let's see. Okay, so let's move away from my website, from the podcast, from YouTube channel, and talk about some other stuff. I was interviewed recently. This is a 3-part interview, of which I am one of them, at 35 minutes into their 50-minute presentation. I am shown. I bet you're going to do a commercial. Yeah, you're going to do a commercial. Yeah. Let me try to get past this commercial so I can show you. I don't know if I can even show this. Skip ads. Okay. For those of you who know about Players Club, I got to the top. Okay, so this is me talking about on the Camper Report. About RVers. So this is a channel that's, and the link will be in the show notes, and it is in the description already, and in the show notes for the podcast episode. And if you, Jason has given me a tip, but he is and a super chat, but he has laid down some requirements on me, which is use this. It's a $35 tip, which I appreciate very much. And he says, use this to play some Buffalo. And he doesn't say Buffalo. He says, Buffalo. Thank you, Jason. I do appreciate that. So thank you. Interesting restrictions. Can I hop on one foot instead or something? Right. So what this interview is about, it's about 10 minutes long or so, is on the camper world, is that there's a camper report this is someone about the same size as me, a couple of co-hosts. They do a lot of interviews, and they wanted, and I know them from where I learned stuff about YouTube and groups, training and stuff. And they said, let's collab, let's do something together. And I said, you have something in mind? And well, a lot of RVers, campers who travel the country will often park in a casino, because parking, it's open 24 hours, and it's usually somebody there, and it's safe and protected, and it doesn't have gray water or hey, the cat joined us. That's Emmett. Shamelessly taking a bath. But these campers, RVers, travel the country, and John, his name is, asked me for 3 free trips. And I think he wanted me to give him stuff that costs money or sell something. And I'm like, no, I got free stuff. So I talked about what I just told you about, the online resource, because they could be anywhere in the country, state to state to state to state. And you really, to improve your slot machine performance, know your state, or at least the one you're visiting. And I also talked about strategy 1, because that's easiest to explain in a short amount of time. And 3 tips. I gave him another one. If they're driving a lot, I have a podcast, because the podcast is what you do when you're driving, not so much the YouTube video, because you can't look at it at the same time. Right. Okay. Lots of stuff going on in the live stream a chat, and I'll come back to that in a moment. I got to find a good place to sort of pause. And if you want to see this, I'm going to come back to my website, come down to here, and I'll click on this. This is an interview from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And hopefully right. So this is what you'll see there. And that's, there is a commercial. Sorry, everybody. I'll get that out of the way. Video resume in 3, 2, 1. And so, whoopsie. Okay. So this is an anchor who I worked with to get some to talk about Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. They were very concerned about the terrible reputation of their casino locally. They only had one locally in Harrisburg, Penn National, a Hollywood casino racetrack with slots. And they reviewed, the payouts. Yeah. So they reviewed the payouts at that time, monthly payouts, player win percent, and pointed out this one's the worst and that one's the whatever, and they plotted it out, and you can see that Penn National had the best odds it ever had in its first year of opening. And I saw a question flash by in the live chat, and often they are. Now, sometimes it's the first month. Usually they are new casinos, because they're trying to build a local reputation where once before it might have been just a cornfield. Right. So they got to pull in people. They have to introduce stuff. And that doesn't always happen without people trying. Now, a new casino is slightly different from a new owner of an existing casino, where they usually want to try to get their money back. But I talked about this elsewhere, and we can talk about it again. I think I talked to Jan, Texas Tootsie, one time about, maybe I should just do like an 8-hour Q&A session. Any interest in that? I don't know. Let me know. Just exhaustively answer all questions. I might do that once a year. I haven't yet done it. Okay, so there is more to talk about, but that's kind of where that is. I'm going to check back with the live chat. see what I've missed. Hopefully no donations were missed, because I do like to recognize people who have given a donation. A donation is possible. At the bottom of the live chat, there's a little dollar sign down there, and you can click on that and work your way through Super Chat or Super Sticker. I think the Super Chat is a little easier. You can say something that I'll say out loud, and whatever I'm doing, I'll interrupt myself and recognize you if you do that. So questions. Oh my goodness, questions. And when I come back from the questions, what I'm going to talk about is the online course that I'm working on, which I know I hope everybody's interested in. Paula wants to know, am I flying by the seat of my pants today? Sure. Free will in it. And okay. I do appreciate Paula being moderator. There's been a lot of things that she's taken care of. And as we get more and more people, it's becoming more and more interesting who shows up. And she handles all of that, which is wonderful. And see, Jim's here, Ginger's here. Ginger is in Venice, California, as she's always telling me. West Coast Slots is here. With machines like Buffalo Gold and Dancing Drums, are the percent payouts controlled behind the scenes with the push of a button? Not exactly. Every casino except Riverboat casinos have switched over to central servers. And so there's too much going on for anybody to be pushing a button. There's an algorithm that's running, and it's been programmed. So now you can, the payout returns are very closely monitored. The return statistics. And if you've looked at any of my articles lately, and I think it was 2 weeks ago that I did, was it Mississippi, on the live stream, and I showed how month by month by month, individual returns by casino, and then like I did Florida also, the Miami-Dade area, the 8 casinos there, you can see that they are very precise landing on where they want to hit their performance metrics overall for the casino. And each casino makes its own decision, even though it's under the same rules. So it's precisely here or precisely there or precisely there. And so consistently, one casino has the best returns, and consistently, one casino has the worst returns. And there's usually like a 2.5% jump. Now, this is the average for the month for all slot machine denominations. So it's very precisely controlled. That's the level of control that they have. So when you ask about different gaming themes, the gaming themes have nothing to do with it. If you switch over from a class 3 slot machine to a class 2 bingo competition slot machine at a tribal casino, well, that's different laws. So they can be different. But if you're talking Buffalo Gold and Dancing Drums, no. They're no different from any other. You didn't ask this, but they're no different from any other slot machine. What I go by is the location of the slot machine. If you've got a row of Buffalo Golds, right, and it's a wall on one end, the row, and then the end of the row is next to the aisle, that might lead to the food court. Play the one on the end of the row that's next to the aisle. It can be seen to win. It's just it's what I talk about. So are the Buffalo Gold and Dancing Drums you haven't quite expressed it. I know comments are short, but you might be concerned that someone knows who you are, and they don't. I've been checking the financial reports submitted to the SEC, which have to be honest, and they talk about their central server software and what it's capable of doing. Everything has to be in layman's terms as well. It's the law. And one of the things that they talk about is how quickly they can analyze the results of the casino, because they're offering this as a product to casinos, and casinos would like to do better than they used to back before these servers came out, which was like 7 to 10 days. And then they know what the performance is. They get it's a business. They've got to hit their performance metric, financial performance metric. So that service has been offered by slot machine manufacturers who also make lottery machines and also make software and also make game themes and as well as the physical cabinets. And what's my point here? My point here is that they're not real time. Sure, they have all the data, but it takes maybe 3-4 hours to process everything. You're long gone. Can they be changed at any time? There's some of this is policy and some of this is law. So that's why I go state by state. And it looks like policy is no one can be on the machine. Now, it could be 3 seconds of nobody being on the machine. Or if you don't use a player's card and you use all your money, put $20 in, played it, put another $20 in, those few seconds when there was no card and no money in the machine, algorithm can change the odds. So I wouldn't take both the card out and the money out if you're on a winning machine, because the odds are, if it chooses to change anything, what's the odds that it's going to be better odds? Too many odds in that sentence. That was odd. So, if you're on a losing machine, you can go to another machine. And people complain to me about, well, then somebody else sat down and they put their money in and they put their card in and then they won a big jackpot. I said, you could have done that. You could have taken money out and card out, waited, let's go a whole 30 seconds and put it back in and see what happens. You can let it be in a condition where if the algorithm has put it into its timetable, that it would reset it. But for goodness sakes, don't do that if you're on a winning machine. You could lose your winning machine. All right. Okay. Conversations about, Jim, I removed the past live streams. I didn't at first. I had like a year of them up, but people are like, just get to the point. This surprisingly, this is not a place for good information on slots. This is for me to say, Jim, you okay? I appreciated your help the other day. This is a community video. You get to say hello to other people. I'm here. I can respond to your questions immediately. This is a community video. And if I'm going to talk about this sort of thing, if I pick a topic on some other time, I'll make a 8-minute video, 4 if I can. And that's what I've tried to do to those. So, and they're all available in the podcast, always. For goodness sakes, don't listen to episode 1. That was terrible. Seriously, stop. It's so embarrassing. Right. So they're not removed, they're unlisted. So if you can find an old email from me that has the link in it, it's still there, but you just can't find it unless you know where to go. Isaac is here. I've been listening to the podcast. It's nice to watch these live so I can reference the stuff you talk about. Thank you, Isaac, and welcome. So questions, Busy Mommy Reviews is here. Hello. Jan asks Joyce a question. Okay. Busy was asking about, is anybody here from Florida? Dave and Lois spent half their time in Florida to answer that question. Isaac says, John, I went to West Wendover last weekend. I tried the 5-pull method. It was working pretty well. The question is, how long do I wait to cycle the machines again? Exactly. That is the disadvantage of strategy 1. And that's why I call it, and sometimes the 5-pull method, sometimes the 5-spin method, but sometimes the original name is only win immediately. So I've been frustrated by strategy 1. You do it and you're done. Now what do I do? Go home? I just drove 30 minutes to get here. So it's a little frustrating, isn't it? Test it out. I found that if I went once a week, a little before noon on Sundays in Ohio, before church folks get out, that was a way. It was more strategy 6, where I take strategy 1 and I apply several mini strategies to try to squeeze out another 0.5% several times, which adds up quick. You can try it. You can cycle through them all again. cycle through them all again and see what happens at your casino. But I usually, for me, I was like, well, I'd go once a week and just do that. Hey, I would have done that instead of this. I prefer to teach and not be, and luckily there's no smoking in Ohio casinos because I have asthma, mild, and it was really tough on sleeping. But when I go and there and do that, if I could have just waited 5 minutes and done them again and waited 5 minutes and done them again, I would have done that and never started doing some other stuff, except I do like to teach. So maybe I would have anyway. It's called scaling. Yeah, we can talk about that as a more advanced topic sometime. How do you find out what works, and then how do you make the most of it? How do you optimize it? How do you scale it so that, now we're talking not just making a profit. I mean, a lot of people are transitioning from, I've never played slots before, tell me about slots, to, and this is why I have all these resources, to, I just moved to this state, I don't know what's going on here, or I want to visit Las Vegas. So, maybe you have 7 secrets to your next Las Vegas trip to Las Vegas. I do. That's what it's called on my website. But once you start winning, then there's more to learn. When you haven't been winning and then you start winning, which is my hope for you and what I'm trying to do for you, then you have to learn money management. How do I won. Now I need to be able to get out of the casino with it. So what's that all about now that I'm winning? And then you can also say, well, I'm winning and I know how to get out of the casino, but how do I really kind of turn it up? How do I go to the next level? And that's kind of what we're talking about here. So this is partly what the course would do, more of the beginning of those, the first online course, which I want to talk about in the last few minutes here. Sunil says, are slots tighter at Indian casinos versus Vegas? I'm working through the data. The answer is no. I'm working through the data. Somewhere between the Strip and downtown. There's a major difference between the Strip, Las Vegas, and downtown. And tribal casinos are kind of in between. So if you, and I'm, like I said, I did Florida, I did Mississippi. I'm working on a video for Mississippi. New Jersey is next up to look at the return for player, look at the state provided data resources. I was talking to somebody on YouTube who had some comments about, well, I've been to every state and I know the return statistics. And I'm like, you do what? Because it's only available in 18 of them. No, you don't. Well, I sort of figure it out from a few minutes of play. No, state data. State data is where you go. And 18, 19 casinos, even Kentucky. I was recently doing Kentucky and I realized they had return statistics on HHR machines. It'd be interesting to go back. Right now, I'm just going back to 2020 to see if they've recovered from the pandemic or if they're still sort of like taking your money. Yeah, I'm going to see if there's anything else here. And I will let you know. Send me an email and at John at Professor Slots, with John is spelled Jon, and I will put it in my travel folder so I know who to contact when I go to which state. All right, I think I kind of right. So Pat says, what about the podcast? The podcast is lately, the last 6 months or so, has been the audio portion. I have an introduction, then I have the audio portion of this live stream, because I do one a week of both the live stream and the podcast. And so the people who listen to the podcast and get most of this information, I provide links for them as well. Then I follow it up with one state, basically my article on one state, and I present to them alphabetically through them. And so it's a 3-part segment, an introduction, this live stream audio, and then a state. Next up, I think was it the last one was Kentucky, or the next one's Kentucky? I think the next one's Kentucky. And so I'm third time through. And so that's what you'll see. Okay, I'm going to quickly wrap this up and say I have a 52-second video for you. Good cold morning. I hope you are keeping warm. I have a quick request for you. In the card above, in the description below, there's a link that goes to a survey. I'm already working on content for you for 2021, and I want it to be exactly what you need. I'd like you to have more enjoyable slots play, have more wins, and get out of the casino with your winnings. I'm already working on that content. I've got some ideas, but I want to make sure it's exactly what you need as a slots enthusiast. It'll take about 3 minutes of your time if you don't mind. Click that link in the card above or the description below. Fill it out and give me some information about your slots play, what you're working on, the roadblocks that you're facing, so that everything you see from Professor Slots in 2021 is exactly what you need. Thank you so much for being part of this community and helping me here at Professor Slots be able to serve you better. Thank you. I'm looking forward to reading your responses in that survey. Good call. So maybe I'll move it from that facial expression there. Right. So that's my backyard. And I put a link in the, I put the link that I referred to in this video into the live chat, and it's also in the description below in the video description below, but also on the show notes. Basically, it's professorslots.com/2021-survey. About nearly 200 people have responded, and this is going to get me, it's an element of setting up a sales page for the online course, the first online course, and 10 seconds left. Awesome. And next time, people show up earlier so you can get your question in. I've got 2 seconds left. I usually go a minute over. So there's been 178 responses so far. It should only take 3 minutes to do. professorslots.com/2021-survey. And it's helped me to better understand your wants and needs. Now, I have a course that I will be coming out with, and I will very quickly share where it is at. Right. So this is it. It's coming soon. It hasn't been released yet. It's going to be 30 days to master casino slots. It is my first course. It is going to be self-led. It won't take 30 days, but you can work on one lesson per day and get it done in 30 days, or you can just do them all in one day, but it might be a long day. So it is courses, period, Professor Slots, period, com. And that is where, when I release the registration for the online course, that's where it will be at. Don't worry, I'll share this with you later. Also, I wanted to make you aware that for the online course, this first one, the self-led one, it will be a beta version first, and then I need beta testers. I've decided the regular cost will be $197, but for the beta, it'll be significantly reduced. I mean, significantly. It'll be less than half, be less than half, and I haven't quite come up with the number just yet. Registration, I'm going to do a pre-registration, but it'll only be so you can purchase it before it becomes available. If I don't have enough interest in it, it won't be something I offer, and I'll refund you. But I will put out a link soon where you can pre-register for it, and then I'll work on it and put it out. And I plan to do that probably April, hopefully. I think I can get it done. And it's open to as many people as it would be, but then I'm going to close the registration after, once it actually starts. 7 days later, I'll announce it here on one of the live streams. 7 days later, I'll close it and wait for feedback from all the beta testers, and then open it permanently after I've incorporated that content and those improvements. So thank you so much, everybody, for a bit over today. And that was excellent. If you're listening on the podcast, stick around as we'll be moving into the next segments of the show. And as always, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye. Thanks, everybody. Remember to visit professorslots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. This is the next segment of the show on slot machine casino gambling. Here I provide a brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district, emphasizing by far anything of interest to slot machine casino gamblers. Up next is Kentucky slot machine casino gambling in 2021. Here goes. Kentucky slot machine casino gambling consists of 6 parlors offering pari-mutuel-based electronic gaming machines, 4 of which are horse racetracks. The minimum legal gambling age in Kentucky depends upon the gambling activity. For land-based casinos, it's 21. For poker rooms, it's not available. And for bingo, the lottery, and pari-mutuel wagering, it's 18. Historically, Kentucky has had a fascinating relationship with gambling. While casino gambling was never legal, gambling dens were prevalent before the Great Depression of 1929. To this day, the open display of illegal gambling from that time in American history continues to negatively affect the perception of gaming in Kentucky. Kentucky's Constitution prohibits Class III Vegas-style slot machines. In 2011, historic horse racing, HHR, electronic gaming machines arrived in Kentucky. These gaming machines look like slot machines, but the results of each bet made are based on many past anonymous horse racing results from across the U.S. Based on pari-mutuel wagering regulations for horse races, the HHR machines circumvented the constitutional prohibition against slot machines. In recent years, HHRs have become increasingly, some say wildly, popular. Kentucky's flourishing slots industry has recently come under scrutiny by state lawmakers. Why? Because most of the taxes generated by HHR machines go to horse industry funds and programs. Since 2011, HHR bets total $5.3 billion. About $80 million went to taxes, of which $51 million went to the horse industry. Only $29 million went to general tax revenue for the state. While this $29 million may seem like a lot, Kentucky lawmakers noticed it's substantially less than the tax revenue received from slot machine bets in other states. These HHR machines revive the horse racing industry in Kentucky, and manufacturers of these games are looking to expand across the U.S., and the Commonwealth of Kentucky has decided it wants a bigger piece of the pie. For more details, Google WDRB's top story in its Sunday edition from mid-2019. Is Kentucky being shortchanged on its slots? In February 2021, state lawmakers came to an agreement to push off a controversial tax revenue increase until 2022. Next up is a usually short statement about slot machine private ownership, which I have included in case you live in this U.S. state and are considering owning a slot machine. Here it is. In Kentucky, it is legal to own a slot machine privately. The Kentucky Horse Racing Commission, KHRC, regulates skill-based games at pari-mutuel racetracks in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. In January 2021, the KHRC reported Kentucky offers 3,672 HHR machines, a nearly 20% increase from a year before. In this section, I'll discuss Kentucky gambling establishments. Kentucky has 6 commercial casinos with HHR electronic gaming machines. The largest casino in Kentucky is Oak Grove Racing Casino Hotel with 1,300 gaming machines. The second largest casino is Red Mile Gaming and Racing with 902 gaming machines, an HHR parlor in partnership with Keeneland Racecourse. There are 6 gambling establishments offering HHR gaming machines in Kentucky. As usual, when there are too many casinos to mention here, a complete list along with a casino map are on my webpage for the state at professorslots.com/KY. The Commonwealth of Kentucky has no federally recognized American Indian tribes and therefore is unable to offer tribal casinos. As an alternative to enjoying Kentucky slot machine casino gambling, consider exploring casino options in a nearby state. Bordering Kentucky is to the north, Ohio, Illinois, and Indiana, to the east, West Virginia, to the southeast, Virginia, to the south, Tennessee, and to the west, Missouri. To visit any of my articles on these U.S. states, simply visit ProfessorSlots.com followed by its 2-letter postal designation. For example, my Ohio slots article is available at ProfessorSlots.com/OH. Are you interested in sharing and learning with other slots enthusiasts in Kentucky? If so, join our Kentucky Slots community on Facebook at ProfessorSlots.com/FBKY. All you'll need is a Facebook profile to join this private Facebook group freely. There, you'll be able to privately share your slots experiences as well as chat with players about slots gambling in or near Kentucky. Again, use this convenient link I've created to go directly to our group on Facebook, ProfessorSlots.com/FBKY. Join us. The Commonwealth of Kentucky does not offer any theoretical payout limits on HHR gaming machines. However, return statistics are available after a bit of number crunching. The KHRC offers monthly return statistics for HHR gaming under Reports. Calculate player win percentage by dividing less, return to public, by total handle, starting on page 15. For January 2021, the monthly player win percent for HHR's machines were statewide 91.1%, Derby City 90.9%, Ellis Park 90.6%, Keeneland Red Mile 92.5%, Kentucky Downs 91.2%, Newport 90.2%, and Oak Grove 90.9%. For this January 2021 report, Red Mile at Keeneland had the highest player win percentage at 92.5%, while Newport had the lowest at 90.2%. In summary, Kentucky Slot Machine Casino Gambling exists as competition-based historic horse racing gaming machines where the results of bets are based on many past horse race results. In September 2020, Oak Grove Racing Gaming Hotel opened. Otherwise, in the last year, Newport Racing and Gaming also opened. Remember to visit ProfessorSlots.com/subscribe to get my free report revealing the top 7 online resources for improving your gambling performance, including the one I've used as a top-tier slot machine casino gambler. Part 1 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast will include a live stream Q&A session on YouTube. Remember, my weekly Q&A session on YouTube is on Saturdays from noon until 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Bring whatever slots questions you have, and I'll do my best to answer them. An easy-to-remember link to my YouTube channel is youtube.com/ProfessorSlots. Feel free to stop by anytime during my hour-long live Q&A session. Part 2 of the next episode of the Professor Slots podcast is another brief overview of the current state of gambling in a U.S. state, territory, or the federal district. Next time, I'll be talking to you about the great U.S. state of Louisiana. That's the end of another great episode of the Professor Slots podcast. Thanks so much for listening. Show notes for this episode are on my website at ProfessorSlots.com/episode 131. I plan to have the next episode come out very soon for you, where I'll have more amazing content for the show. Until the next episode, have fun, be safe, and make good choices. Bye.